how do you balance catering to the newcomer, the person who's just walked in for the very first time, maybe doesn't even know anything about the Bible or about Jesus, and feeding the consistent attender, the person that's been coming for a long time and needs that, meat versus milk that Paul talks about? How do you balance those two things in your sermons and in the way you construct your services and just everything that you do?
Yeah, we definitely don't do that great, I would say. I think we're still learning. I mean, it's funny. There's always stories that you could tell of, like, look, it worked this way because of this one person, But I don't know. There's for every one story like that, there's several of the opposite, and so I think I do emphasize that the Sunday gathering is for the church. It's for Christians primarily. I'm not there to primarily reach non-Christians on a Sunday, and yet at the same time I speak to non-Christians every single Sunday. We have tons of non-Christians that are joining us, and so I think that Tim Keller, who was a pastor in Manhattan, was pretty influential on me in just understanding how that kind of preaching to both of those groups goes. And I think he's right. He just talks about preaching to the heart. Like, if we can preach the gospel to the heart, like the depths of the heart, it's going to apply to everybody, And so I think that's something I strive for. Some Sundays better than others, but when I'm trying to constantly share my own personal sin on Sundays. Pretty much every Sunday, there's a moment where I'm just confessing my sin, and that is rarely like viewed as a weird thing. When you confess your own sin, and not like, I was out at the club last night, it's more like the envy in my heart, and the greed in my heart, and the anger in my heart, and the lust and the pride, those kinds of things. Like, that resonates with everyone, like that's something that just everyone can grasp. And I don't just leave it out there with like, and that's just, I'm a sinner, I'm generally also modeling to the church how I repent. So I think the church oftentimes is told, you need to repent, but they have no idea how to do it because it's never been modeled for them. And so part of my job as a preacher and a leader is to, one, share my sin in such a way that they can identify with, whether or not that's specifically their struggle. They know what sin is like. And then I'm also showing them out of it. When I talk about, my wife and I, we got into an argument, I don't end it with like, and then I was just mad. It's like, no, that was part of it. But let me explain to you how we actually reconciled. We have tons of, every marriage argues, but not every marriage reconciles. Not every couple knows about how to repent and actually apologize and seek reconciliation, because out of a deep love for one another, out of what Christ has done for them. And so that kind of stuff, I think, just always, a non-Christian hearing a preacher confess sin is like, I mean, it shouldn't be this no duh, but they're usually almost any Sunday a new non-Christian or new person comes, and they talk to me. They're like, I can't believe how honest you were. I'm like, really? Like, all it took was me to say, like, me and my wife got into a little argument, or that I was envious of someone. Like, that's really sad to me that was like, whoa, the first time they ever heard a leader like confess sin. It's like, man, that's devastating. And so, so it doesn't take much, but at the same time, I'd say this is where we don't have this figured out. And I wouldn't say we're, a funny story recently was actually a couple had shown back up to the church. I think it was right before COVID had hit. And they said, do you remember us? And I was like, no, I don't remember you. They're like, we actually showed up last year. And it was the Sunday you guys, it was like at the end of 2018. We did a 12-week series through the entire Bible, where we encouraged the entire church to read from Genesis to Revelation in 13 weeks. Yeah, and so and for 13 Sundays, I preached the story of redemption. They showed up like a year after that, and they were like, we actually came that first Sunday where you guys started that Bible series, and we walked out and said, we're never coming back to that church. And because it was just too much, and then they came back after a while, and now they're a part of our church, and it's something we joke about now, but it's like, I don't think, I wasn't thinking of the new person when I was like, hey guys, we're going to read, an hour of the Bible every day for the next 12 weeks, and I'm not like, oh man, that was a blind spot. It's just kind of like, no, I see my job primarily as to equip the church and to shepherd the church. I mean, there were non-Christians who actually ended up reading the Bible, better than Christians, so that's just, there's going to be those stories, but also the stories of people showing up and going, this just is not the place for me. And we can't, I just can't do that. So, yeah.